All right, we are back. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 10:46 a.m. I am done trading for today. I took a W my first trade, and I took a second trade, which I'll recap a little bit on. And that one was an L, but still I did 250 on the day. So we are up at 49,785. So I say 49,750. So I am up on a week, technically speaking, but also at least I'm back up trying to get to neutral from my original point. So today actually we did have quite a few trades come in. It was super slow, but there were opportunities and I think I took advantage of them. So for starters, just getting straight into it, I did take 200 on M and Q. So just to recap this real quick. So M and Q was the leading index in this case. As I saw it, MNQ was once again yes, like I said, the leading index. So go to MNQ. All right, so I was looking at MNQ to be the leading index in this on today's trade, right? So just clear these out. Okay. So going in on the day, right? So we had London lows right here. So I was looking. So initially, I was looking for sells, and I do think our bias was still bearish. And MNQ had not confirmed the shift in structure just yet, but I was still looking for sells. But eventually, in the 5 minute, I did see we were trying to shift up, so I aim for buys. So just to make it a little simpler here. So let's go back into the here. So we were pushing down right towards London lows, and I was hoping that we would aim towards previous day lows. But at market open, what we did was we shot straight down, taking out this low and London lows, right? I was hoping that we would remain bearish, but around here, give me a second. Let me just replay real quick. So let's go market open. So boom, market opens here, right? The market opens, and then we shoot straight down, taking out the lows that I had mentioned previously, right here. We took it as this hourly low. I was aiming to remain bearish, right? And MNQ being the leading index for me in this case. Okay, why is it 740? Hold up, we gotta go back. But yeah, this is low right here. So at open, I'm looking once again. I'm looking for 6 sells. We shoot straight down, take out the hourly low, and then we begin to push back up. I'm then looking for us to hopefully sweep this 5 minute high that we created previously right here. Sweep this high and this high, these equal highs we create up here, to then begin to push down even lower. But instead, what we see is that we break above the 5 minute high. We break above this 5 minute high, and at this point, I'm thinking to myself, we see a 5 minute break of structure. Likelihood is we are aiming to probably push to the next 5 minute high, but likely the 15 minute high up here, right? And in the same exact way that I usually take entries on the 1 minute, I am looking to take an entry in a similar fashion in the 5 minute. So I aim for us to then retrace. I'm looking once again at this point. I'm looking for buys. I want to see us retrace into this area right here, this zone. And I don't notice this, and I don't take this trade usually. But if my concept works in the 1 minute, it should work in the 5 minute, in the 15 minute, and all the other time frames. So I want a way for us to enter into this zone. I am genuinely looking for us to aim to around EQ of this movement. So I didn't notice this trade until later on. So we do trace back down to EQ. And by the time that we create this low, I noticed we probably want to take an entry. So at this point, I'm looking for us to take an entry at this to resweep this low, hopefully, and I aim to take a stop loss down here, and I'm aiming for these for the 15 minute high up here. I'm aiming for the 15 minute high, But more important than that, I am probably aiming to take break even at this high right here, and take partials at the equal highs we have up here. There's another 5 minute high up here, but ultimately I am aiming for the 15 minute high. So we do in fact retrace back down. We take an entry here, and then we begin to push back up. We push, and boom. At this point, I take the majority of my contract out, and I think I leave like two sitting. I want to wait for us to tap into the 15 minute, and I was hoping that maybe we would want to go to the 1 hour as well, which would have been up here, no up here. But we push back up, right? And well, why does it keep doing this? Hold up. So here let's go here. So as I was saying right here, this is where I take the majority of my contracts out. At this point, I don't want to see us push down any lower, right? So I end up taking my exits out at around here. I then see another trade up here. I then wait for us to take another trade. And so I see a breaker structure occur here. So I take an entry towards the sell side, aiming for this 5 minute low we had down here. The problem with that is that for some reason it didn't click in my mind that the 5 minute was already indicating to us that we were trying to aim for the 15 minute high. That we were trying to aim for the 15 minute high and very likely the 1 hour high. So in a way, I guess I didn't like look at it properly, but at the same time, I do think I got a little bit like afraid. If that makes sense. So instead, what happened is that yes, I saw a breaker structure, but the bias wasn't in alignment with that. The break structure occurred here, and we swept this 5 minute high and this 5 minute high up here, but we never tapped the 15 minute high up until recently, nor the 1 hour high up here up until recently. Those were my original targets, but honestly, I do think I just became afraid of it for whatever reason, and so I ended up taking it now. So I took another trade. I took a very small entry because I was being cautious, given that we were on an uptrend. And so instead, I ended up taking an entry at around here. I was aiming to take an exit, a profit down to the 5 minute low right here, and breaking and stop loss up here, but it was not in alignment with my bias. So my first trade was good, and I should have let it run. But once again, I think I'm not used to the fact of like of trading with actual capital just yet. So I did take an entry there, and I did make like $400 profit, like $350 profit, and then I took a second trade and lost about $100, give or take. So I only made about $250 profit on a day. But I do think, even though as choppy as it was, I do think that my analysis was fairly good, with the exception of the fact that we were aiming for the 15 minute and 1 hour highs, which would have been a great, a great trade had I actually held on to it. So I would have ultimately done this right here. Boom. This would have been a really good trade, I think. I think it would have really panned out very well. 1.86 RR would have been insane. But once again, it is what it is. Just next time I gotta be a little more discretionary about it, because we did break structure the 5 minute break. We had a 5 minute break structure aiming for the 15 minute high, and we had no reason to take sells. We had no 5 minute break structure to the downside. So that was definitely on me, 100%. But I just gotta keep that in mind from now on as well. And so, nonetheless, this would have been a really good trade, I think. And I'm happy with the first trade entirely. Like I said, we followed a very similar concept to my 1 minute entries, and it panned out. So I might be looking into those a little more frequently here. I'm also in a bit of a rush trying to pass the combine, hopefully, but let's see how that goes. But yeah, we had one winning trade initially, and next time I should probably avoid taking a second trade. The moment I take a W, let it run, be firm of my entry model and my strategy, and like let it do its thing. So I'm gonna try to be a little more consistent with that. But yeah, that's that for today, and hopefully we take a better tomorrow. Deuces.